Hello, ladies and gents, welcome back. All right, it's time for this year's third Grand Slam tournament. It's time for Wimbledon, and I'm gonna give you my preview of the draw. I'm gonna give you my top 8 candidates, the guys that I think are gonna reach the second week, the guys that I think is gonna reach the quarterfinal, and of course, I'm gonna go in from the 8th to the first spot, which players I do believe have the best chance of winning this tournament. I was right about the French Open, but it was a difficult tournament, of course, and Novak prevailed in the end like I predicted. So Wimbledon, what is Wimbledon to you? For me, it's the biggest and most prestigious tennis tournament of all. The biggest Grand Slam, the biggest tournament, and with that history that comes with Wimbledon, I really have to say this is the biggest tournament. But everybody has their own opinion. Maybe you have a different opinion. Maybe you agree with me. But it's summertime. It's grass court. It's a different game, and we will see the best player probably perform their best tennis. And Wimbledon, who is a tournament that is full of history, packed with legendary winners through the years. And I've witnessed many finals through the years, the last 35 years. I can tell you right now that my favorite year was 1992, when Andre Agassi won his first Grand Slam tournament. I watched that tournament almost, not every match of course, because the television didn't view every match, but the last stages of the tournament. I watched the quarterfinal where Andre Agassi defeated McEnroe, and then in the semifinal he defeated Boris Becker, and in the final he defeated Goran Ivanisevic in a 5-set thriller. McEnroe and Becker had already won that tournament multiple times, and Goran Ivanisevic, who was a superb grass court player, won his first and only Grand Slam 2001 at Wimbledon. But in that final in 1992, it was one of the best, not one of the best matches I've witnessed, but most exciting. It was a great match. A serve cannon like Goran Ivanisevic against the baseliner, when the courts was really fast. It was really amazing when Agassi won that. You haven't seen a baseline player won the tournament since Björn Borg. So, all in all, that is my biggest memory. Goran Ivanisevic created 38 aces in that match, but still lost. Agassi was the more clutch player in the end. So that's my biggest memory, and of course some of the finals in the 80s between Becker and Edberg, Stefan Edberg and Boris Becker. Those finals were very memorable for me. All right, let's dig into this draw. All right, I've done many predictions through the years, but when I look at this draw, I'm pretty confident about who's gonna win this tournament. But from the spot 2 to spot 8, I really looked at this draw and haven't been this confused ever, because the field is very open. We don't have any Federer who is clutch on grass. We don't have Nadal. We don't have a Murray in super shape who is really good on grass. And this draw is so open. I really had to go through the draw section by section to finally decide. Some of the names were a little bit easier to put in the top 8 spot, but some I really had to think. And of course, since it's very open, I really have to take big chances here to pick my candidates for the quarterfinals. So from start to beginning, it was very difficult for me. I went through many times, like I said, and in the end I came up with 8 names, and I'm gonna go in about these 8 names just in a second. I have to talk a little about the grass court surface. It's a low bouncing surface. You have small margins for errors. You really have to protect the baseline at any costs. It's very difficult to protect the baseline since the game is a little bit faster. It's not fast as before, but still very fast surfaces. So you don't have that time. So you have to protect your serve. If you protect your serve, you can go into a tie break if you don't break your opponent's serve, and that means you have to be the clutch player in the tie break. In tie break, everything can happen, but usually is the more experienced player, the more calm player, the more clutch player, the player sometimes that takes more risk that wins the tie breaks. So the quality of the draw, I think that it's very open, but not as great quality as I've seen seen in the previous years. But what can I say? You have to use your slice. You have to be from top to toe. You have to be prepared because everything can happen on grass. And on grass in Wimbledon, you have a little bit more time. But if you lose your serve, if you can't protect your serve, that means that the opponent has a very big advantage. On clay, you have the chance to come back. The serve doesn't matter so much, except when you have when you're using kick serve and stuff like that. But kick serves doesn't work so good on grass court like it does on clay. You have to be a tremendously great spot server. So big servers who are in big shape in this tournament are gonna reach deep. But it's not all about the serve, as you all know, and that's why guys like Jon Isner and Milos Raonic have never won a Grand Slam. So you really have to rely on everything in these 7 matches. Everything has to work. You don't necessarily have to play your best tennis, but you still have to be great and a little bit lucky. The draw is, of course, opponents. The draw is, and the opponents is very important, of course. All right, I have talked enough now. On my number 8 spot, who do I have on my number 8 spot? It's a Russian guy. This guy is used to reach the quarterfinals. This guy is familiar with playing the big competitive tournament on a great level. This guy lacks of clutchness. This guy lacks of great serve. This guy lacks of constructing the point and keeping his head cool on the court. This guy, I think, is not the smartest strategically of all the top 20 players, but when he has his day on the office, when he's in the zone, he can defeat almost anybody. He has a huge forehand, he has a great movement, and he can really dig deep and create some great tennis if he wants. And due to his draw, I was really confused because this was not an easy draw for me to. He had some great players in his section. He had Felix, he had Kyrgios, he had Bublik in his section. So it was 2 sections in this draw that really bothered me, and this guy's section was one of them. And on my number 8 spot, it's Andrei Rublev. This guy is having. I don't know about this player so much, but it's Purcell, a guy that he should beat in straight sets. Then he has to play against, I think, Karatsev in the second set. And then from the third round, everything can happen. This is not a safe card. Everything can happen in this section. We have players like Kyrgios, Bublik, and Felix Auger-Aliassime, who all of them can reach the quarterfinals. But I fought and looked at the form. I looked at how they played recently. I've looked at their previous results on grass. And Bublik comes from the victory in, I think it was in Halle, where he played the best tournament of his life. Can he continue that in Wimbledon? It's another grass court surface, but still great for Bublik. But I don't rely on this guy. He's a light version of Nick Kyrgios, but if he takes up where he left, I think that he's going to be a huge threat. But this is Grand Slam. It's not the free sets tournament. So I had to add out Kyrgios in the third round. I think that Rublev will beat Kyrgios, and Kyrgios is another guy that you don't know. He has been injured for a long time. He hasn't played so much this year, so I saw him in a grass court tournament recently. I think it was at Stuttgart, and then he played in the Australian Open. And since then, I've never seen this guy play. So, and he has a final spot from last year to protect. Even though they have the safe ranking points at Wimbledon, they have a different system here. I don't trust that Kyrgios is gonna reach that deep this year. A third round at his best, I think. And in the fourth round, Rublev will take on Bublik. I think that it's a bad matchup for a guy like Rublev, because Bublik is very unpredictable. He can do everything great or everything very terrible. So it really depends on which mood he is in. And if Rublev plays his A game, I think that he will win. Bublik really has to step up a couple of notches if you want to beat Rublev. It's not an impossible task. It's very open in this section. So Kyrgios, Bublik, Aliassime, and Rublev, all of them can reach the quarterfinal, but I have to pick one, and that's Rublev. All right, on my seventh spot, it's another headache for me. It's another tough decision I had to make. In this section, we had Casper Ruud, haven't reached further than the second round in Wimbledon. We have Shapovalov, I think he will reach the semifinal 2 or 3 years ago. We have Borna Coric, who has won in Halle a couple of years ago. He defeated Roger Federer in the final. He hasn't played great lately. And then we have another old fox in the draw. We have also RBA, Roberto Bautista Agut, who also reached the semifinals in 2019, where he lost to Novak Djokovic. So all of these guys are also in the same section. They gave me headache. I didn't. First, I thought for myself, should I pick Ruud? But that guy hasn't achieved anything on grass. Shapovalov haven't achieved anything since that Masters final against Novak Djokovic in Paris 2 years ago, I think. He has only won one title, ATP 250 tournament in Stockholm, and that was in 2018, I think. Borna Coric, like I said, hot or cold, he's very unpredictable too. He has played great in the clay court season. And then we have Roberto Bautista, a guy that I don't know what happened to him, but he showed a little bit great competition skills in the previous tournament. I think it was either in Halle or in Eastman. I forgot which one it was. So just think of these four guys. Who should I pick? Who should I pick on my seventh spot? I'm gonna go with the bold long shot. I'm gonna take Roberto Bautista Agut. It can be any of them, at least Shapovalov, Coric, or Ruud, but I will stick with Bautista Agut on my seventh spot, and I will put an end on that seventh spot. All right, on my number 6 spot, it was also a difficult task for me to figure out who I'm gonna pick here. This guy, due to a great draw, he has his most difficult competition in the third and fourth round. It's an American dude. He has some great hands. He has a great serve. He plays very unorthodox. He has a great backhand. He has great movement. He really has almost everything, but he's not super sharp on everything. He's above average. He has an all-round game, but he's very unfocused sometimes. His biggest Achilles heel is his returns and converting break points, because his return are not that great. It's all right, but on grass you have to be a little bit better if you want to go further deeper in a tournament. So, but he has a fantastic first strike tennis skills. He has a great forehand, like I said. He really put the pace on the ball, and he's very unpredictable. He really can mix up the game. And this guy is Francis Tiafoe, who I have on my number 6 spot. In the first round, he's going to take on Wu. Second round, I think it's Poporin. Third round, if he can reach there, it's Dimitrov. In the fourth round, this was a decision maker for me. Should I go with him or him? He will either face one of Holger Rune or Davidovich Fokina, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina in the fourth round, and I think that he has a decent chance against these two players. Francis Tiafoe has really developed his game. He has played solid tennis lately. He's not a bad player. I think that this year he will get a big break on grass court. He will reach, I think, the second week. So I have him on my number 6 spot. All right, on my number 5th spot, due to an easy draw, due to lack of competition, I think. No, I'm gonna take my words back. He had 2 different rounds in round 2 and round 4. If he can get past them, of course, he will reach the second week. But in the first round, he will take on Ferry, a British guy who got a wild card, a guy who either plays for his life, he can produce the best tennis of his life, he can cause an upset. Can he? It's not easy to play in front of a home crowd, and the crowd will, of course, support this his opponent. And we all know that this guy doesn't like when the crowd is against him, and that is Daniil Medvedev. I think I really want to put away his name. I was thinking about, should I take Serendulu or Tommy Paul in the quarterfinal? Those guys have played rock solid lately. The Medvedev, I don't know. It's not the former Medvedev I've seen, but at least his best season is in front of him, and that's the hard court season, the American swing, the open season, where he plays and performs best. So I believe that with a little bit luck, he can reach the quarterfinal, but he has a big obstacle in the second round. Who does he have in the second round? A tricky player that nobody wants to beat. A tricky player that not the biggest player are not afraid of him, but they wish another opponent, because when this guy wakes up on the right side of the bed, he can really fight, and his unorthodox playing style, his unorthodox forehand swing, his serve, and the way he hits the ball, he's really a flat hitter who doesn't create so much topspin, and grass should be a serve that suits his game. And I think that if he is in good shape, if he doesn't does too many unforced errors, and if he keeps his cool, he can really take out Medvedev. And that is Manarino, the French dude, the lefty with a short forehand swing, the flat hitter, like he hits the ball flat like Medvedev. He has great hands. He's not afraid of approaching the net. He's not afraid of ending the points early. So Medvedev, he can really take time off Medvedev for sure. So that is one of my upset alerts in this tournament, and that is Adrian Manarino in the second round. In the third round, if he survives that second round, I think that he's gonna face another informed player, Greek sport from from Holland, the Netherlands, who is also a great grass court player. He really likes to serve and volley. He really likes to end the balls quickly. He is a guy that also has played great the last 7-8 months of this season, and in the late 2022. So Medvedev doesn't really have an easy draw. So to be honest, I don't know why I picked him in this quarterfinal, but I should have to stick to my words. And in the fourth round, it's another difficult match. We have Serendulu, the better ranked Serendulu, who's gonna probably play Tommy Paul in the fourth round. So either Tommy Paul or Serendulu will wait for Medvedev or Manarin. Medvedev in the 4th round. So these guys can also take out Medvedev. So Medvedev's path to the quarterfinal is not easy. Like I said, it's the opposite. It's very tough. So this section is also, the more I think about it, is also very difficult and wide open. So, but I put Medvedev on my 5th spot. So after beating Ferry, Manarin, or Griekspoor, or let's say Tommy Paul, he will reach there. If he crashes out earlier, would I be surprised? No, I won't be. I have seen bigger upsets in my tennis career, not career, but the tennis I watched for the years. All right, let's dig into the top 4 candidates. This name, I picked him also. This guy hasn't performed great this year either. This guy is also an unorthodox player. To be honest, if you put the label beauty and ugly on tennis, this guy plays the most ugly tennis, the most boring playing style I've ever seen. Not ever seen, but the last 5 years in my, of the tennis that I've seen for the last 5 years. These guys, I really don't enjoy watching him. I watched them. The last match I saw this guy play was at the Wimbledon last year, where he met Novak Djokovic. He played some great tennis, but in the end, Novak was too strong for this dude. He is a lefty. He has an ugly backhand. He has an ugly forehand. He has an effective serve. He has huge swings in his shots. He has big cuts, like you say, and he can move his opponents from coast to coast. And this low bouncing surface will benefit him. And due to the draw, I can say that this guy has the easiest draw, second easiest draw of all the top 8 candidates, and that's why I put him so high. And that is Cameron Norrie, the British guy. He has Mayhack in the 1st round, and then he has probably the American Eubanks, who has played great grass court tennis also this season. In the 3rd set, he has Sebastian Corda, who is a great player. He has a great serve, but he has never had the time to catch up and to be in form. So I think that his journey will end in the 3rd round. And in the 4th round, his biggest test will occur, I think, if that guy reaches there. And it will be an excellent match for the home crowd if these guys can meet in the 4th round. And that is the legendary, the 2-time champion at Wimbledon, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that really is a definition of struggle, competition, will, and dedication, and that is Andy Murray, or like they call him in England, Sir Andy Murray. If these two guys can reach the quarterfinal, it will be a huge clash, a popcorn blockbuster, not the blockbuster, but due to the boring matchup playing style. But Andy Murray, can his body handle the pressure? Can he handle the physique, the everything that is? Can he recover from his matches? Will he play tough 5-set battles to reach the 4th round? It depends a little bit on that. So if Andy Murray will have an easy rounds, this can definitely be a competition for Cameron Norrie. But I believe that he will reach the semi-final, and that's why I picked him and on my 4th spot. On my 3rd spot, it's a guy that I never thought in my life, since I came to the tennis circuit, that I'm going to pick this guy to reach the semi-final. For sure, he has a big potential. For sure, he has ability. For sure, he is a future tennis top 5 player. Not a multiple Grand Slam winner like many guys predicted, because this guy is too limited. I said in my previous French Open preview a little bit about this guy, why I don't believe so much in him, and why I didn't have him in my top 8th list there, because this guy is too one-dimensional. This guy doesn't have the necessary physique to compete for 7 matches. Even if he get easy matches in the first couple of rounds, which in this case he has a great draw, a superbly well-deserved draw for once. I believe that this guy, only because due to the draw, only because that he is a much better player on the guys than the guys on this draw, he has reached the quarterfinal once. Last year, he was 2 sets up against Novak Djokovic. Everybody was prepared for a big upset. I text my brother, he said, oh, Novak is gonna lose this match. I said, my brother, take it easy. This is Novak. And I had to school him a little bit. I said, Sinner, who is on my 3rd spot, won't seal the deal because Novak have the time. Novak will wear him down. And when things get heated, this guy doesn't fight like a champion. But all respect to Jannik Sinner, I really wish him that he can win a Grand Slam. But at least for now, if you look at the competition on the ATP Tour, he's one of those guys that can reach very deep the second week. But right now, he's not fully developed. He needs to work on his physique. He needs to work on his variation. He needs to work on his tactical skill. He needs to work on his movement on court. Even though he moves great for a tall guy, he's a less better version of Andy Murray and Thomas Berdych. But let's look at his draw. He has the younger brother of the Cerundulos, at least the less better player in the first round, guy they should take out. And then he has an Kecmanovic in out of form. And then he has probably Mr. Slice and Dice, Dan Evans in the 3rd round. And in the 4th round, he will either face Hanfmann or Taylor Fritz. Fritz has not played great tennis lately. And Hanfmann, on the other hand, has done that. Can he take out Sinner? I don't think so, because his firepower works superbly in the first rounds. He's not that tired. He has the motivation. He has the still fuel in his tank. So I believe that the first 4 rounds, it will be a great week for it will suit Jannik Sinner tremendously good. So I put him on my 3rd spot. And long shot also. But okay, all right. Before I go into the top 2 guys, by now you have probably figured it out who I'm pick. I'm gonna go with some of my upsets alert before I pick these 2 remaining guys. Berrettini, where is his status? Can he perform? He's in the draw. We have a lot of one-hit wonders in this tournament that have reached deep. We have RBA has reached the semifinal. We have Berrettini who has reached the final. We have Hurkacz who reached the quarterfinal. Or was it semifinal? The year that he defeated Federer. I think it was a semifinal. We have Jannik Sinner who defeated the quarterfinal. We have Shapovalov who have reached the semifinal. And of course we have an old winner like Murray. And I would like to mention Alex de Minaur as an upset alert. He can reach deep due to the draw. I think he is on the upper draw. Maybe Zverev also, but I think his journey will end in the 4th round against a much better player who I have on my 2nd spot. All right, the top 2 guys left. The top 2 guys, 2 guys that I think gonna reach the final. And who is this guy? I'm just gonna say it. It's Carlos Alcaraz. He won at Queens, but from what I've seen, not many players who has won Queens has won the Wimbledon in the same year. Of course, we have a couple of examples like McEnroe. I think Connors did it one time. I think Becker did it one time. Probably there are a couple of more players, but in the past future, only because, like you all know, Federer has won Wimbledon 8 times, and most of the tournaments they have played before Wimbledon has been at Halle, so, and not at Queens. So that's probably one of the reasons. But Carlos Alcaraz, who plays against Chardy in the first round, in the second round he will play against the French dude Arthur Rinderknecht, or something like that. In the third round he will either face Nicolas Jarry, the Chilean guy, or Hugo Humbert. And in the fourth, like I mentioned, like 1 minute ago, he will play against Alexander Zverev. And really, this draw is it looks very easy for Alcaraz, but you have to play every match. It's easy on the paper, but you have to execute that on the court also, not only on paper. It's talk is cheap, like you all know. You have to perform. It's 5 sets. You have time, but Carlos Alcaraz, who is going into this tournament as a top seed, who is the world #1, really have a big chance of reaching the final. And I think that he will reach the final. He will take out TFO in the quarterfinal, and then the guy. I think it will be Cameron Norrie in the semifinal. I think that Cameron Norrie will defeat Medvedev in the quarterfinal, or some of the other guys that Medvedev could. If Medvedev crashes out early, he can meet one of those guys, and that could be the guys that I mentioned. One of those upsets alert. So Medvedev is not. I'm not 100% relying on him to reaching the quarterfinals, but I think that Norrie will reach the semifinal against Cameron Norrie and defeat him there, because Carlos Alcaraz, look how he moves, look how smart he plays at this age. He has a superbly lethal forehand, great backhand, drop shots. He has everything. He has the backhand, the returns. He has the young braveness of a youngster. He has an attacking heart of a lion. He has everything that you need to be the Grand Slam champion. And he has already won a Grand Slam. And in the semi-final against Novak at the French Open, he really had the chance in the beginning, and then that cramp issue couldn't do him justice, but I still believe that Novak would have defeated him. So Carlos Alcaraz, who lost in the 4th round last year against Sinner, I think that he will advance even a little bit more this year. It's really, if you look at the draw, he has a great chance, but still I don't trust his level to 100% still, but 95%, and that is enough for him to reach the final. And of course, my #1 spot, it's not a rocket science, it's not a government secret, it's not a huge guess to say that it's gonna be Novak Djokovic. At least in my opinion, he looks untouchable. He's the most bankable player of all these guys in the draw. He's out to win his 24th Grand Slam. He's out to equaling Roger Federer with 8 Grand Slam victories in 9 attempts, in 9 finals. He has reached 8 finals and won 7 of them. He lost to Rafael Nadal. I think it was in which year was it? I forgot. 2010? Oh no, it was against Murray. I think he lost against Andy Murray. All right, and he's here to win the third out of third leg in the Grand Slam circuit. He's here to go another step further to complete the calendar Grand Slam, winning all the 4 Grand Slam in the same year. He's really the man to beat, but the most important thing why I think that Novak will win, it's not that he's better than everybody else. He is. It's very obvious. He has no grass court competition. None of those guys that I have mentioned are a real threat on grass. They have never achieved anything big on grass. Andy Murray is the only guy here. And we all know that Andy Murray is not in best shape. And we all know that Novak Djokovic will still win if he doesn't play his best tennis. What separates the best players from the average player is that they win matches even though they don't play their best tennis. Novak doesn't have. He has a high-low level. That's why he's so great in all the Grand Slam surfaces. That's why he's so complete. He defeated Kyrgios in 2022. He defeated Berrettini in 2021. He defeated Federer in 2019. He defeated Anderson in 2018. So he's out of clinching 5 in a row. We had this COVID year, 2020, where they didn't play the tournament. So he wants to join the club of Federer and Björn Borg to win 5 consecutive Grand Slams. He is now standing with 7 Grand Slam on the Wimbledon court together with Pete Sampras. He wants to equal, of course, Roger Federer. He wants to take every record in the record book. He wants everything. And he has the whole packet. If now Novak will lose at Wimbledon, it's like Rafael will lose against. It will be like Rafael loses at the French Open, except he doesn't have to meet Novak Djokovic. Novak doesn't have to meet Federer. He hasn't meet Rafael Nadal, who is the better, most consistent grass court players the last 15 years, together with Andy Murray. Novak doesn't really have too much competition. This is the easiest Grand Slam beside Australian Open to predict, in my opinion. The spot from the second spot to number 8 spot, it's super difficult. It's one of the most difficult draw I've ever predicted in my life. But to pick the winner is not difficult. It's simple for me. He has defeated also, I forgot to mention, Roger Federer in 2014 and 15 years finals, and Nadal in 2011. So Novak Djokovic, that was all of Novak Djokovic 7 final victories. So that cross-court forehand, where he dictates the game, where he put the pace, where he moves his opponent from coast to coast, the quick points that he likes to end when he relies on his cross-court forehand, that backhand down the line, that stability from the backhand, that he dictates the baseline with his backhand. We all know that Novak is the master of protecting the baseline, and Novak really had more margins on the from the baseline than any other opponents in his life in this tournament. He has a kind draw. He's effective. He doesn't slip. He can slice. He can approach the net when he wants. His quality all through from from his toes to his fingertops. So Novak Djokovic, it's getting ridiculous. The quality, the experience, all the weapons that Novak possesses, the serve, not to talk about his serve. He will really win many points from his serve. The second serve is so lethal, it's very underrated. The way he switch gear, he can switch up the game so from slow to fast, the stamina, the returns. Here you have everything and more. He has so much that he can dig out. Like I said, he doesn't have to play the best tennis. He just has to be on court, protect the baseline, and his biggest competition will be, of course, Carlos Alcaraz. He will defeat Rublev in the quarterfinal and Sinner in the semifinal and seal the deal and win his 8th Wimbledon title, the 24 overall, and take over the number 1 spot. I think he will continue to be the number 1. Novak really is playing the biggest tournaments right now. I've never seen him. It's easy for him because he already had the best records, and he wants to expand them even more to leave a much bigger legacy than he has now. So Novak Djokovic will be the 2023 champion of Wimbledon. That's my prediction. Thank you for watching this long video. Take care and bye bye.